Hello, it's Rhonda Thomas, and we're about to do Chapter 8 in Personal Finance. So if you'd care to join me, I will share my screen and we'll get started. So I have the problems open. We have eight questions. Wait, hold on just a second. I believe it. Yep, we have 8 questions. Yes, we do. I have the time value of money calculator open, and I have the tables open at the top. And then I want to open my Excel spreadsheet so we can work along. And I'm going to probably go through these fairly quickly, try to be pretty straightforward about it. So these are problems focus on ways of comparing items that you're going to shop for and just thinking about saving money if you're more cautious about what you're spending your money on and how to figure comparison shopping and so forth. So let's go ahead and get started. Krista can purchase a service contract for all of her major appliances for $170 a year. If the appliances are expected to last 10 years and she earns 4% on her savings, what would be the future value of the amount Krista will pay for the service contract? So a service contract, sometimes you end up using it, sometimes you don't. It's kind of like insurance. Insurance is something you pay for that you hope you never have to use. So this is going to be a future value of an annuity because she's paying in $170, assuming that it stays that price for the next 10 years. So just when you think about it, $170 times 10 is $1,700. So let's go ahead and use table B. All right. So we have $170 that she's going to pay in. And so table B is what we need to look at. This is a future value of an annuity. And my problem says 4% in 10 years. So we'll use that table. And if you look down here in table B, I have that listed there, it shows a factor of 12.006. So once again, 4% in 10 years, 12.006. That's why I have that there. So it looks like, based on our table, $2,041, $2,041.02. If we put that in the calculator, let's change to annually, we do get 2,041.04. Okay, so a lot of problems in this chapter might ask you what if she was to put that money into an account, she would have $1,700 to put towards repair of an appliance, but that's after 10 years, assuming that she never needs to have any work done on the appliance. The appliance service contract is valid as soon as she pays for it. So an appliance could go out or down within the first year and she would already start to see a value. So it just depends on a person's situation. So we got two. I'm going to put in the amount from the table. You can put in the amount from the calculator. All right, so down we go before I can see checking my work, and I'll bring it back up here. Let me refresh, see if I can get it a little bit better. Just a second. Let me refresh this again. Oh, like there it is. There it is. All right. So we just did number 1. Okay, let's do number 2. Number 2 talks about if a person, so Eric saves $56 a month by using coupons and doing comparison shopping. Maybe he uses apps to go purchase food or things like that. So it says, what is the annual savings amount? So if you're saving $56 a month times 12, that's $672. Okay, so that's a multiplication problem. And then what if you sock that away in an account that pays 3% and you keep doing that year after year? What will it become, right? So you can take the amount of 672, which is the savings, and you could take it times 10 years, right? So times 10 years, and we would get, so let me put that in. So we'll say equals the savings amount times 10. So you would have 6720 without time value of money. But if you put, oh, I just now saw this. That's funny. Okay. So let's find the future value of an annuity again. We're looking at 3% in 10 years. All right. So let's go look at this table. We use table B quite a bit. So chapter 3, or I'm sorry, 3%, boy, my mind, is, I've got 11.464. 3% in 10 years. Yes, 11.464. I've put this in this cell here. It's $7,703.81. Let's check it with our calculator. Okay, so present value gets 0. The interest rate is 3%. So we're looking at $7,703.73. So it looks to me like that is what we expect it to be. Okay, so one of those should work. So $7,703.81. $7,703.81. And we'll back it down so I can check the work. Okay, number 3. Okay, this is an exercise on doing some comparison shopping, right? So this is all subjective to Angela, right? She's the one that decides all these things. So there's nothing out there in the world that's going to tell you what is important to you when you buy something. However, you can read things, you can read reviews, you can read consumer reports, things like that, to see which brand is holding up better and all this. So she's looking for a home entertainment center. She has product attributes that she considers and puts weights on each of these attributes. So she's looking at a home entertainment center. So by the way, these 3 have to add up to 100, and they do. And I have them here. So the aspect of being able to take that entertainment center somewhere by being portable is important. It's 10% of what she's wanting to get. The sound is 60 or 0.6. So that's the biggest piece. So how something sounds means the most. And then the fact that it might have a warranty. She wants a warranty, so that's important. So what we're going to do is we have brand A, B, C. She rated these, okay? She put these rates in, so we don't have anything to do with doing that ourselves. So I've got brand A here going vertically, and they've got it going across. So I show that she has a rate of 6, and a rate of 8, and a rate of 7 for those 3 attributes. And then I'm going to take that rating times the product attribute numbers that she has here. And I'm going to turn them into a price. Okay, so what we want, or a value. Okay, let's go with a value. So the value, we want to pick the brand that produces the largest value of entertainment center. All right. So we take 6 times 0.10, you get 60.60. You take 8 times 0.60, you get $4.80. And 7 times 0.3, you get 210. And you add all those together. So then the rating is 750. Okay. And it did say 1 decimal place. So this probably really isn't money. Okay, so let me take the money out. It's just a rating. Okay, it's just a rating, but you have to understand to take it times the grade she gave each of those home entertainment centers. Okay, that's enough of that. So I want to just have a plain number. There it is. Okay, I want to take that $sign out so that it doesn't confuse you. Okay, so we just want a plain old number. And then finally, the last one, just a plain old number. No $sign to it. Okay, so now let's look at brand B. Brand B is 8, 6, and 9. So we take 9 times 0.1. We take 6 times 0.6. We take 8 times 0.3, and we get these numbers and add them up. So the brand B is 690. Okay, and then finally we do the same thing for brand C. So this was the rating on the portability, but the attribute that is most valuable to her is the sound. Okay, so whichever rates the highest on the sound, I think pretty much automatically wins. Okay, so when you add this together, it's 770. So it looks to me like brand C is the winner based on this information. Okay, we're moving on to number 4. Okay. Number 4, sometimes when you are presented with the opportunity to buy something, there's a cash price, and then there's a price you'll pay if you decide to go have it financed. Okay, most of the time, where am I here? Just a second. Let me see what I've got where. Something in the way. Okay. Okay. All right. We've got a cash price. So it says Pierre is comparing the cost of credit to the cash price of an item. So we have no idea what he's buying. If Pierre makes a $70 down payment and pays $34 a month for 24 months, how much more will that amount be than the cash price? So we've got the cash price of $695. If he puts $70 down and the rest is $34 a month for 24 months, that means he's going to have $816. And when you add those two together, here is the credit price. Okay, so credit price is normally different because it's involving interest, because you're allowed to pay instead of paying today all of it, you're going to pay it over time and over 2 years. And so, like I said, there's interest involved. Sometimes that is your better deal if you don't have all of the money at the beginning to buy it. It depends on what the item is, but the difference between the cash price and the credit price is $191. So credit price is more, which is not surprising. Okay, so let's check our work. Number 5. We have quite a few items here that we're going to understand how to get to their unit price. Okay, a unit price. So, products are usually packaged a certain way, by the ounce, by the quart, X amount of tissues, whatever. So we got 5 items here that we're going to break down based on the price of the item and the unit measurement. And now we're looking at cents here. So don't forget, if you're looking at my Excel spreadsheet, I am highlighting a dollar sign with 0.78. Now that is 0.78 of a dollar, but what they want you to put in is 78 cents. Okay, because they want cents. If you put in 0.78, it'll be marked wrong. Okay, so let's see how we're going to do this. So we've got motor oil, 2.5 quarts of motor oil for $1.95. We're going to take the price and divide by its unit of measure, and it turns out to be 78 cents. So we want to put 78 cents. Now they want cents with 1 decimal place. So even though we really can't do cents, we can't do anything less than 1 cent, they still want us to put that in there. All right, well, next one we're looking at is cereal. Okay, cereal. It's $2.17 for a 15-ounce box. So it turns out to be 14.5 cents per ounce. Okay, and we do want to put the 14.5. All right, canned fruit. The price of the canned fruit is 89 cents. We divide it by its 13 ounces, and it turns out that 0.68 is the price per ounce, right? So we want 6.8 cents per ounce. Now this next one is tissues, right? So this box has 300 tissues in it. So we're going to take 225 and divide by 300. Okay, so this is going to get us a very low number. In fact, it's not even a penny. Okay, it's not even a penny a piece. It's 3/4 of a penny. Now we're going to take that times 100 tissues, which then goes into 100 tissues being 75 cents. And it's 75.0 is what they want. The last one is shampoo that costs $3.96. It has 17 ounces. Turns out that the shampoo is 29.2329 cents per ounce. Okay, we're going to round that up to 23.3 cents an ounce. So if you go comparison shop, trying to decide whether you're going to buy the bigger bottle or the smaller bottle, you have to be able to compare its unit price or it won't work out. Okay. Most stores put the unit price on the label, but some of them don't put it on there as clearly as they should. So, all right, we're going to check the work and keep it going. Okay, so number 7, we're going to learn something called net present value. Okay, net present value. So the word net means that something's been subtracted. So I'm going to put that right up here. So net equals something, an amount has been subtracted. An amount has been subtracted. Okay, so assume what would be the net present value of a microwave oven that costs $159. But by having that, you can save $68 a year in time and food away from home. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to calculate the net present value of the savings. So let me put this down. So we're going to calculate the present value of an annuity because it says we're going to save $68 a year by having this microwave. And if we put away the savings for 5 years at 4%, what's the net present value of this endeavor? Okay, so we have to spend $159 first before we can start saving money, right? So let's put it in. I'm going to put it in down here, the present value table, D. So we want 4% in 5 years, so 4.452. Let me show you the table. Net present value of an annuity. So once again, it's 4% in 5 years, 4.452. So I do have the right factor. Okay, so with that times 68 gives us a net present value of 302. Okay, net present value of 302. Now we're going to subtract the cost of the microwave. Oops, just a minute. Cost of the microwave. And that's going to give us our net present value because we really have to recuperate the cost of the microwave. Okay, so that's net present value usually means that you've got to recuperate the cost before you can really start seeing a value. All right, so 143.74. Now let's do that with the calculator. Okay, so if you go to the calculator, we're looking for the present value. We're able to save $68 a year, and we would like to know how much that results in with 4% in 10 years. I'm sorry, 4% in 5 years. So what is the present value? It is 302.72, which I found right there. And then again, you subtract the cost of the microwave, which is $159. So we're looking at $143.72. So that's only 2 cents off. Okay, so let's put the amount in. 143.74. Check our work. Check our work. Okay, two more. All right, this next problem helps you understand what fixed costs are and what variable costs are. So if you were trying to gather up information about a vehicle and how much it costs to run it, okay, you would want to put these things down. So we have fixed costs in here and we have variable costs. Fixed cost means that you're going to pay that cost whether you drive the vehicle or not. Okay, so let's look. We have annual depreciation. What that means is as the car ages and as you drive it, it loses a certain amount of value. usually. Okay. It looks like we have financed this vehicle because we have loan interest that we pay, and then we pay insurance to make sure that we aren't uninsured, and then we pay the fees for the license and the registration. So the first four items are all fixed, and if you put those down, then you get $3,895 for the fixed. So let's put that in the right box there. Now we're going to look at the variable. Okay, variable means that it varies based on circumstances, right? So the more you drive a car, the more miles it travels, probably the more parking and tolls you're going to have. So we got $420 of parking and tolls. Let's jump down here to the repairs next, and then we'll take care of the mileage. So the repairs, a year, maintenance and repairs, $370 for that. And then this next piece, we need to have some idea of about how far we drive a year. And we need to have some idea of what kind of gas mileage our vehicle gets. So in this example, the vehicle gets 24 miles to a gallon. And then we need the average price of a gallon of gas in order to calculate how much it's costing us per mile. So we are going to take, here's the mileage. Hold on just a second. So here is the calculation. We're going to take the average amount of mileage, 13,200 miles, divided by 24 miles to a gallon. So how many gallons is it going to take? All right. So if you do that, I can find out how many gallons. I didn't put that in as a intermediary step. So let's see, 13,200 divided by 24. We're looking at 550 gallons of gas. Okay, so there you go. 550 gallons of gas is what it takes to, now we need the cost of the gas, which is $3.68. We need to take that times the 550 gallons. So let's see what we get here. So once again, it's 2024. I can roll that all into one formula. The annual mileage divided by the miles per gallon, and know what that number is, which is the 550, and then that times $3.68. So that becomes your mileage cost. So now when you add the three variable pieces together, it is $28.14. $28.14. Okay, so now that we have all of this, we're going to put it together. So we have a total cost of the vehicle. When you add those two green pieces together, hang on just a second, two green amounts, the fixed and the variable, is added together. It's $6,709 to travel that many miles and with this vehicle. Now we're going to take it and divide the annual mileage so that it comes out to the cost of this vehicle per mile is 51 cents. 51 cents per mile. So we want to put it in as cents with one decimal place. 51 point. So hang on just a minute. Hang on. I want to double check this the other way. Okay, 50.8 cents. 50.8 cents. That's what we want. So almost 51 cents. Okay, so let's check our work. There you have it. So anybody who is constantly asking you to take them somewhere, you can tell them you figured out how much it costs to drive your vehicle 1 mile. And maybe it's time for them to ante up a little bit. Okay, pay you some money. All right, last question. Okay, this last question compares purchasing a vehicle to leasing a vehicle. All right, leasing a vehicle. So leasing is like renting, and it's become more popular because interest rates have gone, since they've gone up, it hasn't been as cheap to buy a vehicle. So let's go ahead and compare these two. So let's see, we got the purchase, okay, and then we've got the lease. Let's do the purchase first. Purchase requires a $1,500 down payment. We're going to make loan payments every month of $450 for 36 months, okay? At the end of 3 years, this vehicle has an estimated value of $4,000. So if we can turn around and sell it back in 3 years for $4,000, then that actually reduces our costs because we're getting some of that back. And then there's something called the opportunity cost. And while I'm not crazy about figuring this as part of a decision about whether you're going to spend money on something or not, the book does. If you have to buy a vehicle, I would assume you need a vehicle to get to work or get to school, things like that. And we just don't sit around going, well, if I wouldn't have bought the vehicle, I would have this much money in my savings account. So we've got the $1,500, we've got the 450 times 36, which makes that total loan payment $16,200. If we can sell it in 3 years for $4,000, that subtracts from our cost. And then finally, the opportunity cost is the $1,500 down payment times 4% times 3 years. So if we would have left that in savings, then we would have had $180 worth of interest income. So that cost us, right? We took it out. So because we took it out of the bank, we didn't get that. So they are including that as part of the cost. And that, like I said, that's not always, I've never done that ever. But so when I add down, remember this is going to add back, right? I got 13,880 for my purchase cost, 13,880. What really helped was the fact that we owned the vehicle at the end of the 3 years and it held some value. Okay, so the leasing talks about a deposit. Now I went ahead and showed that we would pay the deposit, but at the end of the lease, we'll get that deposit returned at the end of a lease. All right, so we're accounting for it. You say, well, it washes itself out. I understand that, but it's always good to account for something anyway. So you're showing you're at least thinking about it. All right, the lease payments are $450 a month for 3 years. And so that is exactly the same as the car payment for buying it. And then at the end of a lease, it looks like you're expected to pay about $600. I think leases expect you to not to drive the vehicle a certain number of miles a year. And if you go beyond the amount they've agreed you'll drive, you end up owing more. Okay, so it just depends. So anyway, and then they want the opportunity cost of the, let's just say here. So one more time, I'm going to put the $500 being returned at the end of the 3 years. So the $500 times 4% times 3 years is $60 of interest that we've missed out on by using the $500 as a security deposit. So this company really and truly ought to allow customers to earn interest on their deposit because they've held on to that deposit for 3 years. So there you have it. So it looks to me like the purchase is a better deal in this scenario. So, okay, that's it for chapter 8. Okay, let me go ahead and stop my share. All right, that was chapter 8. We'll see you for the next video. Keep up the hard work.